Every day we wake up at about the same time. We rush to work, argue with the boss, meet with friends, fall asleep, that is. We live according to the algorithm once planned out amazingly. These are all human habits. About half of all actions that we perform daily are performed by inertia. This includes morning coffee with a cigarette and breakfast preparation, and the course of the workflow, and even making money. Studies by many psychologists have shown that a person himself takes one path or another, regardless of whether he started running in the morning or got used to eating at night, smoked his first cigarette or registered on a social network, spent the first 100 in a casino or signed up for yoga. As a result, all this becomes a habit and forms a person as a person who is seen by family and friends every day, with whom the authorities and the traffic police communicate. A person who lives on a par with the same people, made up of their own habits. Of course, all habits can be divided into good and bad ones. Human psychology easily distinguishes these concepts, and theoretically each of us can distinguish good from evil. But numerous studies have shown that not everything is as clear as it might seem at first glance. So habits that seem harmful can be beneficial. No one will argue with the theory about the dangers of alcohol, but everyone knows the example of a glass of red wine, which does not harm the body at all. A good habit might as well be damaging. The relativity of harmful and beneficial habits lies in the fact that any of them can be reformatted into the opposite. Imagine, for example, that your chosen one puts socks under a chair. Try not to swear with your soulmate, but rather think that this habit speaks to some extent about neatness. Based on this, you can save a little bit from each salary together and go on vacation to the resort at the end of the year. If you remember, while drinking a cocktail somewhere in the Caribbean, that it all started with banal socks, it even becomes ridiculous. But nevertheless, it is a human habit that has been successfully cultivated. This is exactly what will be the topic of our conversation. Many people notice exceptionally bad qualities in themselves. Someone picks their nose, someone bites their nails, someone smokes, but try to redirect your thinking in a different direction. With exactly the same success as you have cultivated negative habits in yourself, you will be able to develop the traits of a successful and self-sufficient person. In the end, each of us chooses a path for himself. About how to make this road safe. The birth of a habit. In one town in western Iraq, the same story could be seen day after day. Around noon, the local population almost in full force came to the center and gathered in a square near the market, where after a short period of time something similar to a civil war began. Such uprisings, however, were quickly quelled by the Americans, under whose control this town was at that time. This went on for several weeks, until one of the American military leaders came up with the idea to remove from the square the sale of those products to which the rebels were most accustomed. It's about food and drinks. On the day this order was given, the demonstrators dispersed by themselves. It didn't come to broken dishes or bloodshed. This story is about how a habit can move not only one person, but also a whole crowd. A huge mass, which, if desired, can arrange a coup in any, even the most civilized country. A lot of people, including your relatives or friends, or maybe yourself, start the day with a cup of coffee and a cigarette. For many, this has become a whole ritual, without which the day is considered lost. Next, eating, for example, lunch at work or at the institute, spending money, distributing physical and mental loads. These are all habits that create us. Many of us, if we strain our memory a little, will quickly catch ourselves thinking that around 9 o'clock in the morning they definitely check their mail, and before leaving work they study social networks. However, habits can be not the most harmless. Many people have been trying for months or even years to wean themselves off biting their nails, smoking, or cracking their fingers. However, in the end, the sane part of society is aware of its actions, so everyone decides for himself to fight habits or cultivate new mechanisms. Let's return to psychology. We have already said that to form a habit, it is enough to constantly perform the same actions. In other words, to get used to something, you need to bring yourself to a state where the action begins to be taken for granted. In this case, as experts say, the reaction to the stimulus will significantly decrease or even drop to zero, and the action itself will cause positive emotions. On the contrary, The lack of action can bring a person to a state of melancholy or even hysteria. Hence, as a reverse process, the formation of bad habits follows. They are often born when the result comes after irritation. A Christomathic example. A mother buys her baby sweets or toys to stop him from crying. Over time, the child realizes that if he cries, his mother will fulfill his whim. On the part of parents here, of course, there is a motive, but the children so develop the habit of achieving results by rolling scenes.do. Not forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss the novelties. But that's the tip of the iceberg. In fact, the problem is much more serious than just giving up smoking or studying the refrigerator at night. Once appeared, the habit can stay with you even after you, trying hard, removed from your life because of which it appeared. Experts say that one habit can be replaced by another.